Uh, hey everybody, I'm Nicholas from Pictor. Thank you so much for joining us. There's a question in the chat. Yes, I did make that song. For those of you who haven't played with Suno, it's really fun. There is a fact that I read yesterday that's a little bit gross and daunting, but gives you an idea of how much is out there. In the 1 year that AI has really been accessible to consumers, there is now more content, art, visual, audio, written content produced by AI than has ever been created by humans. And that's just in 1 year. So that's like a really wild fact to think about. We used to talk about how to notate if something was made with AI. I think the reality is that we're going to start seeing ourselves notating if something was real versus AI in the next few iterations of our lives. So buckle up. It's going to be fun. Cool. So today, as you heard in our show's theme song for today, we are going to be pretending that we got a DM from Ronald McDonald himself and have to build a completely branded McDonald's theme booth. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. As per usual, I'm just one person up here running the webinar, and I may not see your comments. If you have a question about something relevant to what we're doing, please shout it out in the comments. Just turn on your microphone and go for it. If it is not relevant, I will kindly say, hold that thought until the end. We'll get back to it. And if not, we'll jump into it right then and there. If you're wondering something, if I went too fast, chances are someone else did as well, or is as well, I should say. So please do ask your questions. So for those of you who work in corporate and those of you who don't, typically a inquiry will start with something like, hey, we have this event coming up and we want it to look and feel like X, Y, and Z. Or it'll be someone saying, we have this event coming up, we have no idea what we want. And also starting here is a great point. So we want it to look and feel like your brand. So prior to us meeting today, I took some time to Google around the old internet and ended up on a brand guidelines page for McDonald's. And most brands, if you Google around, you're going to find something like this that they give to all of their vendors, etc. And it's a really easy way to quickly get a look and feel for a brand. So some of the things that we're going to use in here are our, where is it? I saw it a second ago. These brand colors here. So we're going to hang out in this a bunch. And you see we have our hexes. That's what we're going to be using. We see some of the ways that they're using the content and the visuals. So we'll do some of that stuff. And we're just going to dive in and have a good time. So we're going to start conceptually without the photo experience itself today. We're going to do the branding. And then if we have time, we can do something fun for the experience itself. Does anyone have any brand questions going into this before I start? Do me a favor, if you don't have questions, give me some sort of signal either. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep waiting. So throw on your microphone and say, I have no questions. I know everything. Cool.
Maybe as you talk through it, Nicholas, what can we not brand within Pictor?
You can brand almost everything. I'm sure we'll find something that you can't brand, but from my essentially 15 years in this industry and going back to the different software providers and saying, hey, our client came to us and they need to brand this thing, and the software provider saying you can't, we've covered most of that. And we've tried to do it in ways that have a WYSIWYG. So what you see is what you get. So you don't need to go into code. And two, to make things as beautiful as possible and hot swappable as possible. So what I mean by that is we've remained as generic as possible while still being able to really get into the details to make something look and feel a specific way. So
Even like in the details of the reply to email address, maybe I ran into a thing there.
yeah,
Like if
so
we want to put their email address, like a
yeah,
bounce email, like that kind of a thing, even that. Yeah.
So yes, in theory, you can do that. With email, you got to be careful. You need to warm up a domain. You need to, there's a lot of things that go into that.
Okay.
But yes, you can fully white label the experience as well.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Cool. So let's dive in. I'm going to pop in here. I'm going to go into my events. I'm going to create a new event and we'll call this McDonald's in my DMs. Cool. So one thing that I always like to really share with people is these small little tools here, which are client name and project name, because we can do our analytics based on the project or the client. So for example, you're working with an agency, and with that agency, maybe you do something with McDonald's and Burger King, and you can give that agency the analytics to everything and they can drill down in. Or if you're working with McDonald's on a specific project, say we're doing 12 venues in one day, you could have them all under one project and you can look at your different McDonald's projects in correlation to one another, etc. So for the sake of today, I'm going to call this McDonald's is my client. And we're going to call this project Ronald in my DMs. I was joking with myself before this that McDonald's going to end up in my DMs with a cease and desist for doing this, but this is just for illustrative purposes. Gotta get my T's and C's out there. Cool. So on the event settings page, and you're going to start to see some changes to this stuff rolling out over the next few months as well. Hey, Matt, how you doing? Where we have our event names, start dates, end dates, very similar to everything else you've probably played with. And let's pop over here to our flow. And this is where the branding really starts to get fun. In my opinion, we have a few different ways of doing branding, and that is you can do global styles. So that's this here. Get my little drawing tool. So we have our global styles, and then on a per event basis, or sorry, per flow stage basis, we can override those styles. So when we talk about the flow stages, we have here our media screen, which is what a lot of people call an attract screen. But we went and used this in a way where you can use it in multiple places. You can have an attract screen that's a video at the top, but maybe you want an interstitial later that plays a video. And in order to get to the next stage, you have to watch the preview of the new movie that's coming out, etc. So our flow stages do all of the things that you're likely used to and probably more. So what I mean by that is I can literally move this media screen anywhere in the flow. I can make it last, I can make it first, etc. I can have two of them, so I can have a media screen at the start and then a media screen later, etc. So let's dive into this global branding. And let's start simple. Actually, let me show you something first. So one of the things that we're working on is live preview, but for now we have what we call simulator mode, which is where you pop into a different tab and you can actually see your live simulation of what you're building.
Hey Nick, do you have an estimate on when that's going to be up and running?
I never give estimates because that's the best way for me to disappoint you.
Well, yeah.
I am hopeful by Q3.
Okay.
Yep. So one of the things that we do, so like to my knowledge, I'm the only, Pictor is the only photo booth software that's really run by a photo booth company. And one of the things that we really try and do is make the user experience for us easier. We acknowledge it's not perfect and that there's a lot of things that we're changing after doing a lot of research and user interviews since we've launched. But one of the things that we really want to do is shave seconds off, which turn into minutes and hours over the course of a year. So even switching back and forth from tab to tab is what we're talking about. So now popping over here, I'm going to go and change one setting and you're going to see that take effect. So right now in our base setting, our background is gray. And we're going to go to our background and simply, I'm just going to make it red real quick so we can see that effect take place real quickly. And now if I refresh this page, you're going to see the background red. Not super impressive, although that red flows through the entire experience, and you're going to see why it starts to become very cool in a moment. So before I get here, I want to share a really cool prompt with you. So this is our, actually, believe it or not, version 6.3. I don't know why this is here. Version 6.3 of a tool that we've built over the last several months, maybe a year now at Outsnap. And this is something that we use as a custom GPT within ChatGPT, but it's portable. So I'm going to launch it real quickly just so you can see how this works in Perplexity. And I'm going to actually, yeah, I'll do it here. I'm going to drop this in and I'll share this with you all so you can see, but the big key difference is in this, we want to change this brand name to McDonald's. And if we know their website, which I do, nope, no, let's use this one, McDonald's. I can now drop this in here. And this prompt is going to go and get me all of these details that I need to make today's presentation happen. And what I mean by that is it's going to go and start doing the search for all of these values for me. And I'm happy to share this with everyone. So I'm going to launch this, but I'm not going to run it because it uses a ton of tokens. But just so you can see, can you guys see my tabs and all this stuff going on up here? No, just the window. Okay, well, let me launch it and then I'll walk you through some of the tabs real quickly. So as I press go on this, it's actually going to now start opening up all of these different pages. This is the run I ran earlier, so I'm not going to actually run it if you can't see it open up. But it's now going through all these different windows and pulling color values and doing all sorts of stuff. It's going into the social campaigns to see how they use their colors and the different things that they do. These are windows that were all opened by Perplexity. I didn't do any of it. Went into TikTok to watch videos. Went into YouTube and watched videos. Went onto their Facebook page and pulled content. So for example, I'm showing my age here, so I don't necessarily know what Battle for the Fans 5 is with this group. But if we had said we're doing a promo for this thing and McDonald's reached out, it's going to start finding this information for us. It went to their Twitter. Doing the same type of thing. It went to their LinkedIn. And it brought us to the brand guide. So for the sake of today's demo, I'm going to use the visual beautifuls here that we can just pull from the brand guide. And like I said, I pulled some of these elements already. If you ever want to pull additional elements, you can also go and do something like this. I have this screen software that I love, and I'm just going to go to images.google.com. And I'm going to say I want to find the origin of this image because maybe we want to use this as the background. So let's go up here to, I'm trying to find something that's like highest resolution that we could use for the sake of this. Let's start here. And so now we can do an image search around these and start to find other items like it. Or I can go here and just say, I like this image, and then I can recreate, for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to say, open this image in a new tab and save this image to my folder system. And I'm going to go back in here and let's, for the sake of this, pull that image. That I just downloaded. Let's save that. Let's pop into our next iteration and let's refresh this. And so now you're going to see that branding we just added go through the entire experience. I'm going to backtrack because I created some other elements for this. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to swap in a different image that I created already from their brand guidelines. And so one thing to keep in mind, if you're doing an experience that's on an iPad or an Android, you don't need to really crunch these images down. But if you're going to do something virtual, I would take any of these into tiny PNG or whatever and really crunch them down to their smallest size. So that way, if you're loading it on individuals' phones over and over again, it's going to be a faster experience. So let's save that one more time. And I'm not going to make you watch me save each of these individuals each time. But let's just get one more through. Let's now pull their logo. And once we drop that logo in, we'll start going a little bit faster through these items. So let me find their logo. And their logo may not have transparency, so we may see that pop through in a moment. Yeah, so their logo that I downloaded didn't have transparency, but here you see now it's on every single screen. So I'm going to pop back over here. I think I grabbed another one that did have transparency. So let me grab that real quick. Looks like I don't have a logo with transparency, but I do have this double cheeseburger. Maybe this is an event where they're launching a brand new double cheeseburger. So there we go. We have our cheeseburger in place. I'm going to go behind the scenes for a moment to just into that logo in Photoshop. I'm not doing anything special. I'm just going to remove the background on it. And then I'm going to pop it back in place. While I'm doing that, does anyone have any questions for me?
Can you modify the size of that logo? Or is it set?
Yeah, great question. So that goes back into one of those scenarios that we were talking about at the top, where it's like, if we give people the entire keys to the entire car, people are going to make some very ugly stuff. So you can change the width of that by having a wider image, but you cannot change the height of it because then that's going to break everything else.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. Got it. Thank you.
So it's not the answer everyone loves, but it is the answer nonetheless.
I get it. Yep, makes sense.
Okay, I don't know why this is being a little bit of a brat, but there we go. Oh, I see. That whole not paying attention while I'm doing something. Okay, coming back to the share. I'm going to now just re-upload that logo real quick. Should be our golden arches with no background. Save it. And we'll see it pop in now. Ta-da! Cool. The next thing we're going to do is start to bring in our brand colors. So I'm going to go back into that PDF. And I have a fun little tool that allows me to grab the colors from the screen, but I can also just cut and paste. So since we have used the yellow a lot, what I'm going to do is take this red and we're going to make this their primary button. Actually, you know what? Red for me always feels like a no-go zone, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use this yellow as their primary button. And I'm going to come back over here and use their red for their text. So it's some like ketchup mustard scenario. And then for their secondary button, we'll use the red. And we'll grab that yellow again. And the border radius, on their website is actually like felt pretty not McDonald's-y to me. Believe it or not, like really, really pill-shaped. So we'll start with a 40 on that. But before I do that, you know what? Let me just do this at 0 so you can see what that looks like. And I'm going to add to the top of this a terms of service because that has a yes, no button. And now you're going to see things start to pop in. So we have our agree button, our disagree button with our text. And also on that website, sorry, I'm clicking around a zillion times here. Where did it go?
Would you also be able to incorporate their font?
Yeah, of course. But there's a really thin black line here. So let's do that. And let me see if I can find font in this PDF. It's not coming up, but I'll show you how you would be able to do that. So I'm going to go back into here. I'm going to change my button radius to, let's say 90, because it's almost pill shaped. And let's put that 1 point black round on it. And so now we're going to start to see these buttons really start to feel like those others. Okay, and then in terms of the fonts, we'll pop back over here. And right now we have the ability to add any Google font. These are all here, and you'll see all sorts of different weights. I'm going to find a really ugly one real quickly just so you can see it swap out. Here, let's go to Lobster 2. We have all the different weights here. Dancing Script, a bunch of different weights, but Lobster is pretty recognizable. So let's do that. We'll save this. And now you see the fonts have changed to Lobster 2. You would be able to upload any font you want as well. So whoops. Lost my screen. There we go. So let's go back to a font that, let's see this. There's a fun way to do this, and you can go to essentially, let's go back to the other option. We can search. It can serve us a million ads. Okay, and so we want to identify the font. My guess is McDonald's is probably using their own font, but any of these are going to be close enough. So interval next bold. This is where I like start getting into like the weeds on font stuff. Sorry, but let's just use. Oh, that's 19. Let's do. I think there's, for the sake of this demo, let's find this one for free. No. Okay. This got very anticlimactic because, no offense, I'm not going to spend $29 to buy this font right now. Let's see if we can go to free font finder. Now you guys know how I spend my day. There used to be on my fonts a free button. I don't want to use your time doing that. So let's go back into this and I will show you. You can, if you want to use your own fonts, go to choose a custom font. And we probably have some in here. And you would just upload the true type or TTF, etc. And it would then allow you to use that font there. I'm going to go back here and just see. Oh, no. Let's just go to our trusty Poppins. And let's go in a bold and save. Cool. So as we start getting further into this experience, perhaps we want to now go into our media screen, which is like a tap to start. And this one, for this screen, we want a different background. So currently, we have the same background on all of these. So if we want to now break the flow on the media screen, change the background to that other image we had. And now we want to add a touch to start button with tap anywhere. Let's do a large button. And we want to move this up to the top. You'll now see on this screen, we have touch to start using the different branding, and we can hit touch to start and go into it. Was that clear to everyone how I modified just the individual stage? Cool. Next thing, once we get into our experiences, let us, for the sake of this, instead of creating two templates, now we're going to add two folders. Let's call this breakfast. Okay, let's do this because I don't have, I thought I had some McDonald's breakfast images, but I don't. So let's call this McChicken. And then let's add another folder and call it burgers. So now bouncing back over here, we have our touch to start, our terms of service, I agree. And we don't have any templates in there, so that's why we're not seeing these. Okay, so let me just add a template real quick. Create a template, add a capture. Let's duplicate this. Move these down here, save them. And so we don't have to keep clicking through everything. I'm just going to move this to the top so it's the first thing we see. And this is what I mean about being able to move everything around. It's really nice when you're working. And now we've created sort of a choose your own adventure. Are you a McChicken person or a burger person? By show of yes, who here is a McChicken person? I'm a McChicken person. I've always been. We got a thumbs up. Christina, burger? No fast food? Cool. There is a McDonald's that is on my walk home from when I used to work in nightlife. And I literally, like the smell of the fries is so intoxicating that when I was well behaved, would walk home a different direction just so I didn't have to smell them and get like brought in by the Pied Piper sensation of those fries. So this is another example of like being able to really do whatever you want in this window. So you can make it look any way you want because these can be PNGs. So that you can change the background color, you can have them free floating, etc. But we need them to still sort of sit together in the right place or else things start breaking. Another thing that we hadn't talked about is the modal. So if we look at some of the other branding that they're doing, bounce back over.
Nicholas, quick question. Could they be videos?
I don't see why not, though I've never tried it. So I don't want to say 200% yes, but I think the answer is yes. And if not, it would be a slight modification to be able to do that. So let's bounce back over here. And for example, this blue color. And so we can now pull with this. I'm just pulling that color, and I'm now going to go back into my global styles, go into my modals, change this, and let's make it 90, border radius 90 again, and let's reduce this background color to 0. And I know I'm bouncing around a lot, but what I'm just trying to show you is all the things you can change very quickly. So now this modal here with a 90-degree and that color blue. I'm going to go back just real quickly and show you one more time. That modal 90 was too much. Let's drop it to 40. Save. And now let's refresh it. And now we have less curve there. So these are the types of things you can do. I gave it some transparency. I love being able to see behind some things, just to give some stuff some depth. However, you don't need to. So now let's go into creating an actual branded template. Let's go ahead and change this layout to a one-to-one square, because Ronald loves a one-to-one square. He told me in my DMs. Let's make that capture a square. And prior to this, I did create a little bit of a AI image prompt. It's not fully tuned, but it's enough fun for today. And that's in my custom prompts. And I'm going to say I want this to be one time. I'm going to pull this so it's the size of the frame. For those who tune in, you hear me talking all the time about how much I love math. So I can use math to pop that wherever I want it to be. I'm going to go back to my layers, pull that original capture up, and I'm going to make this a little postage stamp down here because I like seeing the original too. So let's call this photo for now. And then I'm going to duplicate this out. I'm going to move it down here. And we're going to now have a world where chicken equals photo and burgers equal video. And so I know that there's some folks on here who have been looking for help with some of the video captures. Just to reiterate, the way video works with us is think of the image as sort of setting the scene, and then the video as the direction, right? So as the director, you're going to say, action, I want XYZ to happen. I want the camera to be here, this, that. There are some tricks we've learned that really do help. Like I found locking the eyes on the camera help a lot because you're not changing the face. I find a lot of the time as we move the faces, that's when we start to lose likeness. The way the video works is it really kind of takes the frame it's created and then appends your request to it for the next frame. So as you create a longer and longer video, you're going to get more and more degradation in that likeness because each frame is based on the previous frame. And that's why I find if I lock the frame, we're more likely to get that exact same likeness. If you say to do a jump cut, it's now creating from memory, which I would not currently trust. However, this stuff is still so nascent that we're really experimenting with jump cuts and things like that now. And we are starting to see things that I am depending on in beta. So all that to say, let me remove this AI image and let me add an AI video to it. And I'm going to select the exact same prompt. And I'm going to pop this to 5 seconds here. And I'm going to use my math quickly to just 1600, 00. And I'm going to do that same thing with the layers so we can still see it. And I'm going to go back into my video settings here, and you'll see slow camera movement. And I'm just going to say, everyone eating fries, McDonald's fries. Everyone posing for a photo and then eating McDonald's fries. Everyone keeps eye contact with the camera, which is making slow camera movements, right? So I have no idea what that's going to be because we haven't tested it. But for the sake of this demo, let's dive in. Oh, and I'm going to call this video up here. And I'm going to go to just grab icon of a video camera to show you what I mean by some of this versatility. This one is sort of on brand with this experience. I'm just going to pull that and just call this video thumbnail. Save. And then let's do photo thumbnail icon. While that's going, I'm going to jump back over here and I'm going to now change the thumbnail to that icon I just downloaded. See what we got over here. Still thinking. Oh, let's use this ugly green camera. Select thumbnail. And now, just for the sake of this, so you can see what these look like, I'm going to duplicate these out again. And I'm going to add the thumbnail again. Duplicate. Oops, nope, did not mean to duplicate that. Meant to change thumbnail. Cool. So now bopping back over here. Let's refresh this one more time. And now if I am a burger person, I will click on burger. And this is sort of where you could have your like if-then statements. So if someone chooses burger, they could have an entire burger experience in this folder. If someone chooses chicken, they can have an entire chicken experience, right? So imagine you choose chicken and they're releasing some new snack wrap. You can now be part of the snack wrap or something silly like that. So let's go in one more level. And now you'll see we've uploaded those icons so we can really brand these different parts of the experience however we want. Let's do the video first because that's going to take a little longer to render out. And here we go. And now it's going to loop me back to the top. And then we'll do the photo. And we have some funky touch to start stuff there because we are throwing some other funny stuff into the flow stages before. So now that we have this, I'm going to go and put this back in the right order. So let's move the touch to start to the top. And let us put the terms of service above the capture. And then let's take this media screen down here and take a moment to talk about how great McDonald's is. So if you did have a video, you could put that here. So let me show you how that could work. Famous last words. I don't have a video. Okay. Let me put an advertisement here for Pictor. And we could say, thank you. This experience was brought to you by Pictor. Enjoy your complimentary snack wrap, friend. And I'm going to put this in here a few times just so we can see what that looks like. And then we can, at the very end, have a text screen that says, a button that just says, make another. And let's save this. Let's go back over here. We'll refresh it. And now we have our one-off start screen with that different background. This could definitely be a video. Touch to start. I agree to the terms of service. If I don't agree, it says, unfortunately, you can't. Okay, so now I'm going to agree. I'm going to go burger zone. I'm going to go into photo. I'm going to take my photo. I'm going to get my thank you experience. So you can change the font sizes, etc. in each of these. And then touch to start. I didn't change that button. So I can put any text I want here rather than touch to start. So touch to start. I can hide this when we use AI. That's the preview output. So I'm going to just change this text to like new text, button text. So we see where that change affected. And I'm going to also go in here and change that font down to 20 on that individual flow stage because we're using it differently. And then let us do one more. Agree, photo, capture. See where it says the new button text and see how we change the color here. We also do have that advertisement. So this can be a looping video, etc. We can also make it so this times out. So you have no button, but you have to sit on that screen for 10 seconds. Go through. It's uploading. And now we're going to make another. Back to the top loop. So let's go back over here now and check out some of those renders. So we have our video, which came back in approximately 1 minute, which is great. I have no idea what it's going to look like. So let's brace ourselves. Pretty awesome for no preview. The anatomy of those fries, not exactly,
That's cool.
but still pretty cool, right? And we didn't even add an overlay to this. So I can show you how to do that as well. And then let's check out our photo. As well. So there are things we could do to this prompt to make it look a little bit more perfect. I do look a little photoshopped in there, but nonetheless, cool. Another thing is if we were to just take a headshot, we'd still create the rest of the body so we fit there. We could have the person wearing a McDonald's uniform versus what I'm wearing, etc. So let's pop back in quickly and let me show you how we do branding on the actual photos. So let's go to photo 1 here. Let's go to edit. And something really neat that's coming in theory, I'm going to find out tomorrow if I can show this next week. We have our simple flow all reimagined. So a lot of folks are used to just clicking a thing and then saying, here's the overlay. The template editor can do so much, but it's a lot for people. So we're going to also offer you something that's a little bit more akin to like the ease of snap pick without this control, where you can just say, I want a square image. Here's my overlay. So let's now go here to image. Let's add an image from our library here, McDonald's, and let's add a burger here. Whoops, wrong one. We also have Command Z, which I use all the time. So we can add this burger here for branding. And now I can add to that another image. Let's add that logo PNG. Back here, it's a little low res, but let's pop that right here on top of the burger. And why don't we do something here that's a little bit fun? Because I know someone was asking about drop shadows. So let me show how to make a drop shadow real quick. So I'm going to add in a survey here and say, in this survey, quite simply, question, what's your name? And I'm going to save this. We'll go back into our photo. And I'm going to now take text. And I'm going to say employee of the month. And then I'm going to add a token to it. And so now we could do this as 2 lines of text, or we could just have it as 1. So the employee of the month. And let me stretch this out so it's all on 1 line. And I'm going to center that text. I'm going to make it white. And I'm going to now come back into my fonts over here. And I want to pick something that's like a little bit heavier for the sake of this. Let's go this. And let's go to, say, 50. And I'm going to put this at the top. And I'm going to center it visually. See that snap to grid pops out there? And now I'm just going to duplicate this. I'm going to line that up right on top of it. I'm going to now change this to black. And I'm going to go to my math position here, and I'm going to just this is at 55, so let's call it 60. And this is at 31, so let's call it 36. And now I'm going to go back to my layers. And now I'm going to have a black drop shadow behind that text. So let's go save those changes. And let me pop over here, save that. And I have a sneaking suspicion I'm about to be the employee of the month at Pictor. So Nicholas. And I'm going to take my photo. Oh, let me show you this. I think I got my face in there tight enough that we didn't have my body. And it should now recreate. Any other questions on what we've looked at so far? Or any questions? We've looked at so much. Okay.
Nicholas, are you going to show the microsite branding too?
Oh, yeah, we can definitely do that. Good call. So let's take it actually one step further. Let's do the virtual booth first. So with the virtual booth, we have set it up so it takes on the branding of your experience. And what I mean by that is if I go to the virtual booth right now, this is going to retain all of the branding that we've built to date, which I love because we only have to set it up in one place. So if anyone wants, they can actually scan this QR code right now. Actually, you know what? I'll drop it on the, whoops, using the wrong tool. I'll drop this in the chat. So you'll be able to use that on your own device. And I'm going to go back in and just on this flow stage, delete this initial one just because we don't really need it. So save. And then let's go into let's go back to the output. I believe that was Keith who asked that question, or who was it? Derek.
That was me. Yeah. Sorry. Get off me. Yeah.
So for the gallery microsite, similarly, we ship with a pretty easy to use microsite in place. And sorry, I have all my little drawings here. Let me switch to this pen. So if you create a template, you're going to see that this comes mostly with the existing branding already. So what you can do is say, I want to put this McDonald's logo up here at the top. I want to put this McDonald's logo down at the bottom. McDonald's logo down at the bottom. And you can say, I'm loving it. And now you have your branded microsite. Oh, gotta call it McDonald's. Save. Select. Use. Save. If I go back here, we now go to our public gallery. All of those images were taken in the simulator, so they're not going to show up. Let me actually go back to sessions here and look at all you guys popping in. Let's see who did this one. So, not sure what happened here, but you now see Andreas, the Employee of the Month. Congratulations, Andreas. We're all very, very proud. And then we have our I'm Loving It branded. Once again, this wasn't fully tuned, so don't be surprised if there's some weird stuff that pops out. Popping back over here, let me...
the full body, maybe.
What did you say, Andrew?
It was on the phone, so maybe my arm is not long enough.
Got it. And then let's also showcase in here quickly in the output some other really cool functionality. I love the slideshow. And so for the slideshow header image, really similarly, we can pop this in. For the slideshow background image, we can use the same image here. We can say we want 3 images across, 1 high. We want static and we want motion. We can also put in adverts. So for example, we can add a grid media in where this cheeseburger shows up. We can add another one where the chicken shows up. And we're going to say that every 10 seconds, there is a advert that pops up. We can also have a full screen. So let's throw this in. And we can say that happens once an hour or something. So, okay, so it's going to pop up once a minute. And it's going to be for 5 seconds. Save that. Copy the slideshow link. And there we go. Whoops, that's not the right link. Copy the real slideshow link. And then we'll now see. Look at you, fry eaters. The branded microsite, etc. So it's not perfect, like I said, not fully tuned. But if we hang out here for a moment, we can start to see some of those other things happen. And one of the other things that I love about this slideshow that we've created is it resizes based on the window. So if you have a client that's doing a vertical experience, I think we're about to get, no. If we have a client that's doing a vertical experience, you can, sorry, a vertical screen, we can swap this and do 1, 2. Lost my screen. 1, 2, save that. We can do a refresh on this, and instantly this is going to work on that vertical screen. So pretty cool stuff. There's so much more under the hood too that we didn't get to today. And that is, we did a little bit on the virtual booth. We did a little bit on the gallery microsite. We did the slideshow. We did not do sharing station. And we also have the really cool pre-sharing in which you can, if you wanted to have a bunch of customizations, you can do that before people even get to the photo booth. And they have a QR code that the photo booth scans and it just takes their selfie there and they keep on going. So lots of really cool things. We also have a bunch of different flow stages that we barely got into. We have the survey, which we touched on briefly, text screen, share screen, printing, webhooks, which is really cool, paywall, which is really cool, and then the media screen, all fully branded. So imagine McDonald's comes to you and they say, we want to install old-fashioned photo booths in all of our McDonald's locations, but we want the guests to pay. We have a paywall for that. They can either scan a QR code or tap to pay, and it does it. They would, McDonald's or you would use your own Stripe key for that. So we are over, but I can stay about another 10 minutes. So let's open up questions. Anyone?
I have a question.
First questions about the branding that we looked at today, and then more general questions. Go for it.
My question was more about virtual booth.
Yes.
You popped up the virtual booth QR code briefly.
Yeah.
One thing though, and there's a button where I can download the URL from that, but how do I download the actual QR code image and then reuse it somewhere else?
Great question. So we have made it so you can't easily download that QR code image on purpose, and that's for a few reasons. One, this is primarily for testing. Two, we never want you to use a QR code that you cannot change the endpoint on. What I mean by that is if you print this QR code and then you, for whatever reason, need to change this, you are stuck to this event URL. So what we recommend is using a tool like Bitly or anything where you can change the endpoint of an existing link. But if you're sharing it with clients, the easiest way to do it is just screenshotting it. And I just dropped it in the chat for you. Or you can copy the URL and share that as well. So this button to copy the URL. But yeah, there's a tool called, we use this QR code generator. We've been using it for years. It's pretty clunky. You can change the endpoint with vibe coding in Lovable. You could probably build something like this in 5 minutes, but we've been using this probably for 10 years now. They got bought by Bitly. It's very simple. So for example, I would just put this URL in here and it dynamically makes this. If you have an account, you can now print this anywhere you want, go back to this QR code and change this to go to anywhere you want. So that's the pro and con of that. So I don't know who asked that question, but great question. And that is why we haven't exactly allowed for that. We should maybe make it a little bit more obvious with a little tooltip there. Any other questions on branding? Okay, going once, going twice on branding.
Are you able to brand emails?
Yes, Keith, great question. Let's
I
go
missed
in.
that. Came in late, so.
Bouncing back over here, it's a very similar WYSIWYG to what you saw. Sorry, emails used to be here. We've actually moved them into the flow stage based on human requests. So if I were to add a share stage here, this is another really cool thing. Some of our clients don't really care if people ever get that photo as long as they get that email address. So you could put share at the very top to get that email address. And so with allow emailed, it's very similar. So we could turn on HTML, select template. You can choose a template that you've made before or create a template. And it's the same vibe where you pop in that logo again. We do not recommend, just based on best practices, putting a color in the background or using an image in the background because different email browsers and clients read this stuff differently. So just keep this email as simple as you can. We like throwing to the website where you can put in a cookie, all sorts of things. And this way you can have your full branding experience on the web. So you literally just go in and change it to red. There you go. So ChatGPT really dropped the ball on that one. But similarly to that, Louis, and that's not a great vote of confidence right now because ChatGPT just dropped the ball on that. But what you can do and how I actually fixed this for myself at first was I went into this. I went into create template. And there is now with this template, a slightly different look we're going to see. So those of you who have the virtual open on your computer, you can do a refresh here and you're going to see that change. Where now that is situated within sort of like it's not technically an iframe, but it is a frame within. And that should solve part of that issue. And then the other thing you can do is similarly to what I just said is you can go into HTML and we ship with what we consider to be the best possible, works for everyone out of the box, but you can go into this and you can do anything you want in this HTML. So for example, this is where the camera is. So I could delete, in theory, these, and then these to here. And now I have just this. And I could take this code again and say that I want this to be 100% width by 80% height aligned to the top of the window. And it will create the HTML and CSS to do that for you. Let me also make a note to check with the team and see when that hotfix is coming, because that's it. Without getting too into it, different phones handle the placement slightly different. And there have been some new changes with iOS about being aware of the essentially they've changed the where the menu bar is on Safari. And so there are some hot fixes to move where that bar, the address bar used to be at the top, now it's at the bottom, without getting into too much detail. So I will check in on that fix and let you know, Louis, as well.
Thank you.
Cool. We have time for one last question. Is there anyone with any questions?
Can you send some of the examples we did in the
Oh, yeah.
virtual? Thank you.
So
Well,
actually, the email is on it now. So if you actually do it again, you'll get the email yourself. And let me just turn off. Let me make sure this is working because we modified it. So let's just put this back here. Save. And someone else had asked about changing these email addresses. So you can, with a white label account, change those email addresses. You can put anything you want here. However, best practices around these are to use existing domains that are already kind of been warmed up and things like that. So let's save that. And now, Andreas, you should be, if you drop into that virtual booth again, be able to email yourself the photo. They're not showing in the public gallery because they're, oh, actually, no, some of these will. Because you guys use the virtual booth. Yeah. And so we can share these in the chat as well. So you can see them there. Oh, was I not sharing my screen when I was talking about that? Sorry. Anyhow, the sharing is now turned on in the virtual. So you can email yourself content as well as see that link I just dropped in the chat. So if there are no other questions, we will wrap for today. I will work on getting this recap out as soon as possible, and a blog post that goes with it, as well as that prompt that I use to get that brand information. So you guys will have access to that as well. Any last questions? Going once, going twice. Who's going to stick around to hear that song one more time? I'm not.
Very helpful. Thank you, Nicholas.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I
Thank you.
really appreciate
Thank you.
spending
Thank you,
the time
Nicholas.
with us. I know that everybody's very busy. So the spiel, we really appreciate you supporting Pictor, and we really want to hear what you need to make it better. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy your Wednesday, and we will see you next week, if not before.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.